right, everybody, I'm standing here with Tish Henley, and if you don't know who Tish is, Tish was one of Elvis's nurses for, what would you say, 10 years?
From 68 to the end.
Till the end. And so before you worked for Elvis, I mean, were you a fan of his?
Oh, I've been a fan of his all my life.
Yeah. And you wrote a book about him. It is Taking Care of Elvis. Where can they get this book if they're not here?
You can get the book on Amazon. If you're here locally, you can get it at Marlowe's. If you're here in Memphis now for the birthday event, come down to 3411 Elvis Presley Boulevard to the Holiday Inn. I'll be happy to sell you a book and autograph it for you and give you a shot glass.
Very nice. And so yeah, if you come down here to Memphis, Tish is always here. She's always great to see. Do you have a good Elvis story you could tell us maybe?
Oh, I'll tell you a couple of good stories. One, I'm going to tell you a sweet story to let you know a little bit more about the man, as if you don't know. He and I were driving down Elvis Presley Boulevard one day going someplace, and there was this little black girl pushing her bicycle with a flat tire. So Elvis pulls over, and he says, "Now, I don't want to scare her, so you get out and tell her we'll take her home." So I did, and he got out and put the bicycle in the trunk of the car. We went to her house. The dad, I guess, came to the door, so we told him. So then when we left, instead of going back the way we were going, Elvis turned the other way, and I said, "So did you change your mind on our trip?" He said, "No, you'll see in a minute." So we went to Western Auto. He goes in there and buys this beautiful pink bicycle. So we go back to the house, and we both walked up to the door. He introduced himself to the gentleman, and he said, "Is your little girl here? I'd like to talk to her a minute." So the little girl came out, and she was real meek. And she said, "Now, I'm the one that brought you home." "Yes, sir, yes, sir." He said, "Come here, let me talk to you a minute." So she sat down there up on his knee, and he said, "Do you get an allowance?" And she said, "Yes, sir." "And how much do you get?" And I don't remember if she said a nickel or a dime or something. He said, "I tell you what, if you promise me you will save your allowance till you can get enough money to buy a tire, put on this bicycle, and give it to one of your friends that doesn't have a bicycle, I've got a present for you." This little girl lightened up like a lightning bolt. She was just grinning from ear to ear. So we go out to the car and get her little pink bicycle out. So when we left, I said, what triggered you to do that?" He said, "Well, when we lived out in the country and I had a bicycle on a gravel road, I tore a tire off, and I remember how hard it was for me pushing that bike, so I could just visualize how difficult it was for that little girl." My thoughts on that is, he didn't want notoriety for that. He did it from the heart, he did it from his memory, and he did it for the love. Unfortunately, this day and time, if any of your people do that that's in the entertaining world, they want every channel of the TV there and the newspapers there. They wanted it blasted on everything else. Elvis was not like that. He did it from the heart, and he kept it in his heart.
Very nice. And do you have any other stories, maybe a funny one?
Yeah, now I've got a funny story,
All right.
okay? It's going to have a few little words in it, so
Well, that's all right.
if your children are around, you might want to send them to their room for a second.
All right, children, walk out.
Walk out. Time out. So I had a full-time job, so I had worked all day, and Elvis thought in 2 weeks I could get 20 pounds off of him. So I came in one day and I said, "Now tomorrow we're going to start our regimen." We would walk 6 times around the driveway, and then we'd play racquetball. So I get home from work, and guess what? There he still sits in his pajamas. Well, I wasn't real happy with him, so we had a few little words. He got up, got dressed. We walked our 6 rounds. We go to the racquetball court. So I'm making him run. I'm backhanding him, and he's running. And all of a sudden, I heard this thud. I turned around and looked, and he's sitting flat on his butt on the racquetball court. Well, I said, "Elvis, what the shit are you doing sitting down there?" He looked right straight up at me. He said, "My nickname was Tishina. Tishina, I just found out my balls don't bounce." So I got hysterical. So we're both on the floor like 2 little kids laughing. I said, "Elvis, you just made me pee in my pants. Get your ass out of here. You'll take the varnish off of my floor."
That's
So
fine.
I told him, I said, "You know, you're a great entertainer, but I said, a comedian would have had to thought for a month to come up with that story, and you just popped it out." I said, "Maybe you need to take Jackie Kahane's place a time or two."
All
So
right.
I was very, very blessed. Very blessed.
Very blessed. And you lived there how long?
I took care of him from 68 to the end. We lived there from 72 to 83.
Okay. Yeah, and you lived in a trailer, right?
Lived
In the backyard?
In the backyard.
Very cool. Is the trailer still there, do you know?
The one we lived in is, yes.
Oh, very
There's
cool.
2 of the trailers still back there.
All right. Well, everybody check out her book, Taking Care of Elvis. She also sells a lot of other stuff here. So got some jewelry with Jewel Hayes. So Tish, thank you so much for talking with me.
Okay. Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
fans. Love you. Bye-bye.